Just now, Emma Stone verified what we all thought Blake Lively was attempting to remove her from a film on Netflix that was written specifically for her and Ryan. He helped create it. Vanish without a statement or headline, merely silent up until this point, since it was just another casting drama. The script had been darker than being distributed under the working title, The Glass Garden is a drama about psychology, intimate and twisted lyrical, and the maintain a complex, emotional shutdown. After the disappearance, the woman started to unravel. Emma was meant to be the star of her sisters. That's what everyone in the pre-production thought it would be composed for her, such as the screenwriter actually has her own Pinterest account. Open Board, when composing a DP, anonymously left a private comment April 3rd thread, but something Emma never received the script that she never received the call. And when the team checked, the response was chilly. All we did was go in a different way. They were trimmed to Blake 2 weeks later. Lively appears in a special picture opportunity. Supper with Ryan Reynolds and the author, same script, same studio, new lead number announcement. Just a leak. No. Casting post from a gossip source in Hollywood that uploaded a grainy image with the caption, I didn't hear this, but guess who did? Unofficially linked to the upcoming Netflix, everyone thought Emma Stone was a drama queen. But Emma didn't decline. She was unaware of its existence, and the intrigue begins there because her availability was available to the studio. Her curiosity, and her name was purposefully removed. Away from the Blake doesn't receive the list roles that she takes on and discovers who it was composed to make them appear unavailable. The same thing keeps happening. Hence, the true inquiry is not why Blake assumed the role in a way that Emma never even noticed the offer, and who ensured only a reminder that everything was erased. False tweets and PR cover-ups need hours to assemble if you wish to support this channel's continued success. Click the join button to join. We'll continue to reveal what they won't in Hollywood keeps quiet as a tactic, and this time it was carried out flawlessly because Emma's team's efforts to follow up, the more icy the replies became. The more her agency wrote 3 emails, but her manager didn't respond, called to voicemail twice in a row. Then the project abruptly disappeared. The official Glass Garden pitch deck was taken out of the internal studio. Gateway, however, someone has previously saved a copy, as well as Emma's original The Name was, all over it, and the tone was perfect. Stone with a sharp edge that is injured vulnerability demonstrated by audience affinity, La La Land meets a visual reference obsessive. Similar vulnerability with the timing of detachments. Fit Stone is ready in 3 days in late Q2 2025. Later, the same script appeared in a different version. Identical visuals and creative team, with the exception of the perfect fit, is now dynamic and poised. Prestigious but unused graphic aid that a straightforward favor meets. The talent pivot for Gone Girl was proposed by Reynolds' team. The rewrite was completed so quickly. Even the creative development interns took note. El Mao pretends to be Emma Stone, and discovering that your name was removed from Orion's team's pitch deck, you guys really Emma didn't mention the pattern, anything in public, but supporters. Began connecting the dots on April 23rd. A well-known fan account shared a side by a developer disclosed one side of the old deck. Same mood board for the new employee and the intern. The only distinction is the style references. Where Emma had been, Blake's name was. They didn't recast her in the caption. She was rewritten in that post. Within 12 hours, 71,000 likes, and all of a sudden the quiet began to seem quite long, louder. Since this is the section where they didn't anticipate that Emma's contract included an informal hold contract with the studio not legally obligatory, but it meant they were conversing, which suggested someone purposefully disregarded the rules. And when her attorney contacted them, they received returning a single SMS message from Netflix off was all that the casting coordinator said. The record wasn't produced in a studio. This wasn't a decision about, this casting was, about authority, and those who are dragging the strings were fully aware of what they were. By the end of April, The indications weren't less subdued than Emma's team had been in discusses a proposed cover feature with Vogue to align with the Glass Garden's official declaration of a solo full spread shoot, the only rollout you'll ever receive. As soon as the studio was finished, it was already the stylist had pulled gowns on schedule. The date was locked by the photographer, and after that, a phone call changed. Everything that the chief editor herself, according to an inside leak. Nobody would explain why, but Blake saw a new cover appear a few weeks later. Lively, same topic, similar place for filming, even the same stylist for the clothes, that resilience, and reinvention in the caption. When a power blonde returned, people began tying things together in an anonymous way. An assistant uploaded and removed an Instagram story. The cover day dropped, picture getting ready for one. Actress, and then observing the identical attire on an entirely different face, Emma didn't publish or reply. Refused to subtweet, but she did repost an illustration created by a fan that said, "Blondes don't enjoy themselves anymore. They merely superior agents," and that was sufficient. Blake Lively was given the cover that didn't ask how it was intended to be Emma's. Just have faith that she didn't back down. They pushed her out in the most bizarre way. Ryan Reynolds shared a picture of the not Blake's, nor of next morning reveal the Vogue spread in close-up. Without a tag or emoji, just the word iconic, simply silence cloaked in encouragement. But for insiders, that was a really loud move. Had only happened once. Perhaps nobody would have observed. But in Hollywood, patterns are more persuasive than words. Releases, and this trend was beginning. To appear personal, Emma had remained silent. Not about the film in public, nor regarding the cover of Vogue, but being silent doesn't mean give up, because one message was altered, anything, and she wasn't the source. Someone on Blake's side provided it. A former assistant quietly confirmed that someone who had departed Blake's close associates in late 2024, following what was regarded as a comprehensive breakdown of PR ethics. They failed to publish the "they leaked it" DM somehow, and anonymously ended up in an influencer's inbox who conducted a low-key but relied on TikTok's Hollywood rumors, and that Blake's inventor released a bombshell. My Lively assistant just sent me a message. Won't reveal their name. However, this is the main idea Emma wasn't meant to be in. The Ryan wanted Blake from day one at Glass Garden. The entire casting switch was a ploy. Then the screen grabs appeared. Not of Blake messages assistant sent from an Instagram burner account that correspond with previous posts from her stylist's alt. She allegedly stated in one of them, "If instead of pulling her, Ryan lets me walk, the second wave press is already prepared." Give her the impression that she got the part. When she loses it, it hurts even more. The post was removed after being notified for role-playing, but before it went, Emma, who went viral, has yet to reply. But her stylist, who has been silent for, reposted a single line from the direct message on the line, gave her the impression that she had the part without a caption. Simply that, and the story abruptly changed. And it was Emma against Blake, or Emma against the machine, and everyone had finished observing. One line was all it took for her to get steamrolled. What was required to transform a casting exchange into a deliberate takedown. From this point on, it wasn't only about the Glass Garden focused on all women. They had previously sidelined and believed that one would observe the debut of the Glass Garden was more than just the premiere of a film. Emma was meant to make her way back to the spotlight as her opportunity to take back the story after years of retreating. She looked like she was from high-budget movies. The outfit was a custom Valentino from the archive. The classic power atmosphere is baited by paparazzi. Coded by the Cinematic Academy, however, when that evening, a studio car arrived. Nothing was right. There was no press representative. Waiting without a call sheet or handler, only one copy of her name on the clipboard. A staff member with a tablet said, "I'm sorry. You have a private guest number listed. Interviews are difficult." Emma blinked. Must have been an error, but it wasn't because Ryan Reynolds appeared 20 minutes later. Arrived alone to the flashing lights to his name is shouted by cameras with no mention. Of Emma Stone, which exacerbated her name, appeared on the first poster. That fell in March, however. This latest round her name was removed from the press photos, therefore her character and her quotes were similar. Information, her presence, and the one supporter who saw that they weren't only comparing. They enlarged the posters and created a overnight. TikTok broke 600K views. How do you cut when the gaslight is so loud? Emma Stone from the film in which she co-starred respond, "I promise these PR folks believe we're stupid." She's gone now that we noticed her. Emma didn't go through the carpet. Post her outfit, which she didn't even wear. Shots of the audience, but she liked one. That night's tweet was insanely quick. History is altered by Hollywood when a woman makes people anxious since it was no longer subtle. This wasn't a change in casting, was a calculated deletion. But Emma wasn't. I'm not going to overlook it this time. A few days following the premiere, an unnamed user shared a screen grab that ought not to have been there. It was a scandal photo, not a DM leak. Worse than a Netflix press package. Draft in PDF format mid-April was the one who dated before everyone else. Modifications, and Emma Stone's name her official quotation and headshot. Clara's role-playing wasn't merely she's messy, behaving like it was therapy, regulated, and almost on the verge of I've never connected this, and I'm losing it. Profoundly. To a character immediately beneath it, there is another quotation. From Blake, I passed on the glass garden, lively. I wanted something bolder at first, but the issue is that Blake's name wasn't not even intended to be in that kit. Because in theory, she wasn't unofficially involved, she had been pitched the part prior to Emma and purportedly rejected it, or so we believe the leak was uploaded by an unidentified burner. Account with a sentimental caption. It's funny how the woman stated surgical remains in the file even if it was never attached. Route that isn't a fan post. Rather, it's an fans enjoyed watching an insider play chess. By day's end, Blake's number was the attached was popular on X, but you don't unintentionally include a person in a press kit. Unless at some point the deal was genuine. Blake was either going to play Clara or that she desired its return. Emma continued to say nothing, but another person took action. Background actor and part-time podcaster who spent 2 days on set dropped a 90-second TikTok voice clip concealed with only one loaded and no names. There was a conversation, and Blake wanted to re-enter the project they reported she called Ryan, said that she had restored the chemistry. Problem that existed just prior to the cut. The red carpet was initially hidden. Then they removed her, and now they were acting like except for the files. She was never present. Emma was finished playing, and you should never lie. It occurred shortly after midnight and was courteous. Emma was in New York on May 4th getting ready. Something calm for an independent shot, something modest, something secure. And then her agent wasn't there when her phone rang. Her publicist wasn't even on Netflix. Someone she hadn't communicated. Within more than a year, a competing casting director's studio, not one to call or gossip late, unless it was, I wanted to give you a serious, just so you know, Emma, you didn't hear from me. A call sheet is floating when you sit up. Appearing in a forthcoming limited series. You're not Emma now, but you were on it. The role wasn't yet public, but she had been discussing. They claimed it was a public relations issue. Regarding your excessive demands visibility, Emma never exerted any pressure. Did, however, the pattern was clear if she said that if she stayed, she would be difficult. She vanished in silence, and it wasn't Netflix alone, but it was leaking into other studios that evening. An unnamed Duma. You could tell that the submission hit. Was crafted not messy, not ranty, just sharp enough to cut without getting caught. Big-name redhead lost a prestige project last minute. Her Oscar energy became a brand liability when another actress's team flagged her visibility campaign as performative. Somebody's wife is playing dirty. It wasn't just the industry talking. Now the audience had caught on, and then a tweet from a celebrity stylist, vague but loud enough to echo, "You can always tell who's scared of a woman with real range." They start, whispering until she's gone. It was liked by over a dozen blue checks, including one from Emma's inner circle. "You can always tell who's scared of a woman with real range." They start whispering until she's gone. Emma didn't like it, didn't comment, didn't post. But the next morning she made a move. She showed up at a podcast studio in Brooklyn, not to talk about Glass Garden, not to address the drama. She went to support a female filmmaker, and she wore a simple black shirt across the chest. I'm not the campaign, no logo, no tag. Just that sentence, and the internet lost its mind. Emma didn't post a statement, she wore one, and now even the people outside the studio were starting to ask questions about the woman behind the curtain. The shift didn't happen online. It happened in the room May 5th, 2025. The wrap dinner for a private Apple TV Plus project. Emma wasn't there to celebrate, she was there to listen. One of the writers, mid-30s, Sharp X Warner Brothers, leaned in a little too close. After her second glass of Pinot. "You know why? Your name vanished, right?" Emma didn't answer, didn't blink. "It's not about PR. It's about revenge. You were never supposed to take that Netflix pitch to IndieWire." Now she blinked because that pitch, the one about Glass Garden, was supposed to stay internal. Emma had mentioned it in passing in confidence months ago, only to one person. A woman with connections. A woman known for planting stories before they sprouted a woman named Blake, if Emma's pushing. That garden script, we need to quietly block a platform narrative. It's not the tone we want associated with the slate. It wasn't anger. Emma felt it was calculation, because now it wasn't just about her. There were others, actresses who'd been dropped. From Netflix, pilots, writers whose deals vanished overnight, publicists who'd been redirected from clients mid-campaign. One name kept surfacing in the background, Noise Blake. But the bridge was always Ryan. He wasn't loud, wasn't messy. He was the middleman. The cosign on silent kills the yes that let a no happen without fingerprints that night. A new TikTok edit went viral. Not by a Stan account, but by an industry. Several clips flashed of Emma's pulled press tour, then Ryan joking on Fallon. Then a split screen shows Emma's red carpet edited out. It wasn't speculation, nevertheless. It was exposure before Emma's stylist received the call instead of Emma. Message PLZs don't schedule her for the Vogue spread. No explanation stated, no replacement stated, only pulled. Hello, just heard from Condi. Emma's shoot is off. Anything about a tail mismatch, extremely vague. Sorry. But that same hour, something changed. Emma's team was no longer responding. Instead, they were replying. One email was sent to No Drama, No Quotes, 4 media outlets. Emma's hair slicked back in a photo, standing in a darkened studio with a "When they attempt to bury your plant" caption. Something without a name or tag instead. But it was clear to all that this wasn't a PR battle. No longer it was deliberate erasure, and Emma Stone had finally finished her performance. Calm. May 6, 2025, 8:42 a.m., Arrange. The article was quietly dropped. No bold headline on the front page, merely a subset of industrial movements. According to insiders, Blake Lively was discreetly bonded to take Emma Stone's place in the Glass on Netflix garden until the project was abandoned. The truth was hidden there, not in a tweet, not in a print-blind item, and the by-quote from a reporter who hadn't published regarding Ryan or Blake in years. That's what informed people that it had been disclosed. But the twist was that someone, not Emma, from within the studio due to Blake's tried to remove Emma but failed to remember one thing. Emma's friends included writers, editors, and XP producers, including past interns, and currently, when those individuals were speaking, the quotation was, "What did damning more on brand mean? Neat, polished, and simple to manage, or even Emma never, it's easier to delete if necessary," remarked. But that same afternoon, she, a publicist, shared a discreet post just to Emma on set in a lone black-and-white photograph, not posturing, not grinning, simply staring at a caption for the storyboard wall. Her narrative never required rewriting, only release. Then something even stranger occurred. People observed Ryan's 2 Netflix executives were unfollowed on Instagram had also been included in the both underwent the Glass Garden greenlight phase. Blake's posts that I formerly enjoyed are no longer there. It was stitched by fan accounts. Together, and a pattern appeared, each a woman's silence following Blake's name appeared, and their project stalled. Co-stars changed their invitations to the press. Halted up until this point, and the quiet was Emma was being followed, but her name wasn't no longer diminishing, it was spiking. The pattern is genuine. Take a peek at Emma. What has become of Florence Moreau? Being revealed at last, even in a studio insiders began, of course, anonymously. Delivering quotations to reporters one in. There's a reason why one in particular jumped out. Since 2023, Emma has not taken the lead, and it is unrelated to the talent it possessed. Everything pertaining to power and who cut the threads when it was pulled, appropriated a story, and this time the narrative was faltering. Therefore, they believed they silently buried her. But Emma's receipts that they were only anticipating read Netflix's May 7, 2025, 10:14 a.m. The official YouTube channel released a teaser, no press build-up, no warning. The thumbnail was undone by a one-word title. Emma Stone turned around while wearing a headset. Positioned before a display, within minutes, the number of comments skyrocketed. Wait for genuine Emma's back, didn't you? Discarded as this wasn't merely it was the first official teaser. Verification that Glass Garden changed its name now that production of Undone had resumed not Blake, but Emma, and in the end the camera captured the second of the teaser. Emma looks at the lens instead of grinning while being silent and observing. She had spent the entire second. Netflix released a casting call a few hours later. Update. The lead position was formerly Emma's once more, but not this time alone since there was another name on the list, executive producer Meghan Markle. Yes, that Meghan, the individual who said no more, she was funding the return, it turns out that. She had been quietly putting money into independent productions using a content fund as a new alias intended to encourage underutilized potential, and Emma was the first person she won in public. Twitter blew up after losing it, trended, and all of Blake's previous quotes ever thought of helping other women? In the movie began coming up again because that quote seems phony, particularly when one post went viral in particular. Blake attempted to Meghan, a play producer, became one. That's the distinction, is that Emma never returned the clap. Although she didn't win, on May 8th, she uploaded the teaser on one of her Instagram story with no tag or caption, simply I never left a single audio overlay. You simply stopped looking, that's all. Not a single tirade, interview, or exposé gifs, since ultimately Blake and for months Ryan had been attempting to remove.